Angie Westacott applied for a new job. It was to be the start of a 20-year-long love affair with the hovercraft.
I never, ever got tired of seeing that. And to this day, if it came up, I'd still be looking at it and think, oh, wow, that is fantastic. Absolutely amazing.
So you got the job?
Got the job, yes, and after a couple of days got used to the movement and the motion. Absolutely loved it, and a lot of us did.
It was the futuristic way to cross the Channel. This was the age of Concorde, the moon landings, and giant passenger hovercraft.
With its payload of 90 tons, can carry 416 passengers and 60 vehicles in airline-style comfort at a cruising speed of 65 knots.
They flew for more than 30 years before being wound up and the hoverport at Dover abandoned. So what happened? Didn't the passenger experience live up to the glamorous image? There's only one way to find out for sure, and that's to cross the Channel in a hovercraft ourselves, with Angie and some of her former crewmates as our guides.
But in order to get to grips with the highs and lows of hovercraft history, I'm going to have to go right back to the beginning, to where it all took off.
The passenger hovercraft was British through and through, the brainchild of Christopher Cockerell, an engineer and boat builder. He began experimenting in the early 1950s, but actually worked out the physics in his kitchen. Hovercraft historian Warwick Jacobs is going to show me how.
So Warwick, these are the sorts of things that Cockerell was playing around with then?
Yeah, it's just household objects really. A pair of kitchen scales, coffee tins and ordinary air blower.
A hairdryer, in fact.
Let's see what that can lift with just a jet of air onto the scales.
OK.
Try it with 1 ounce first.
So we're doing it on this flat side?
Yeah, try it on the flat side because then less air is going to escape. And that will easily lift 1 ounce. Let's see if it'll lift the 2.
No problem.
Will it lift the 2? No. So what we're going to do now is create, as Cockerell did, what we've got here is 2 tins, 1 tin inside the other tin.
Yeah.
And the jet of air comes down through between the 2 tins, forming a curtain of air, a jet of air, which stops this inner air escaping.
That's much more effective than just having a single jet of air, turning it into a ring.
Exactly. It's the same amount of air doing twice as much work. Go back for the 1 and we'll see. We should do that quite easily. No problem at all. Try it with the 2. Easy.
Yeah.
Let's see if it'll do the 3. Yeah.
Yes, and I'm still not touching the plate, moving around on it.
Will it do the 4? And it lifts 4 ounces. If you scale that up, the bigger it gets, the more efficient, and it works a lot better.
So it's a curtain of compressed air pushing down that gives the hovercraft its lift. The first successful cross-channel flight was in 1959, Christopher Cockerell hanging on for dear life on the front of his prototype to keep it weighed down. So how do you control what is effectively a big floating hairdryer? Time for a flying lesson. I'm travelling on a frictionless cushion of air, but my instructor Russ tells me I'm not properly hovering yet.
What you're doing is you're just blowing a big hole in the water, and because you keep losing confidence and slowing down and turning too tight, you're just falling into that hole in the water.
Right,
You've got to keep moving, you've got to keep your turns gentle and keep your speed up.
Whoa. Oh, there's some quite big waves out here. I'm hanging on for dear life here. Those early pilots learning to drive these things really had their job cut out for them. Can I have another go, Russ?
I don't see why not.
Once mastered, I can see it was a lot of fun for the early pilots. And when the commercial service started in 1968, the public loved it too. What went wrong then? Was there something about the ride that made the thrill fade? To find out, we need some passengers. I've brought Warwick and my dad, who's an engineer. He also rode on the hover service in the 70s. We're going to fly the old route to Calais in this 12-seater hovercraft with former crew members Angie, Vanessa and Brian.
Really strange, I've never been in a hovercraft before and this is really quite bizarre. It is like flying. So what was the quickest you ever did a crossing to Calais in then, Brian?
25 minutes.
Andy, you were handing drinks out to people.
We were, yes. And, in fact, at times it was so quick that we didn't have time to serve all the passengers.
Right.
So we'd have to phone up the flight deck and say, can you slow down?
Dad, I thought I'd find you up here with the pilot.
Yes, of course. From what I can see, you're skidding all the time.
Yeah.
Isn't that right, Rob?
Car on ice.
Yes.
We're chasing a bar of soap around the bathtub. It's a bit like that. Trying to always grab hold of this bar of soap.
Right, yeah.
You can't quite grab hold of it.
Yeah.
In its heyday, no other crossing could match the hovercraft for speed. The big craft could take on 3-metre-high waves, but it wasn't always a comfortable ride. Stylish, maybe. Smooth? That was another matter. "30 bone-rattling minutes in, we're experiencing the ups and downs firsthand.
Well, our pilot Rob has just decided to turn around and go back to Dover. We made it halfway across the channel, but the swell got too big, just over a metre. So we're now heading back, White Cliffs of Dover.
But it wasn't the occasional rocky ride that brought about the end of the Dover service. Even when the Channel Tunnel opened, passengers were still queuing to catch the hovercraft.
Warwick, it seems like such a fantastic form of transport, so why on earth did it wind down?
It was the ending of duty free which finished the hovercraft. They could beat the tunnel, there was no problem, they're still faster right to the very end. But duty free supplemented the hovercraft service.
In fact, duty-free sales didn't just supplement the service, they became its main source of income. With spiralling fuel costs and no chance of replacing the ageing hovercraft, they were grounded in October 2000.
After all those years of working on the hovercraft, it must have been sad to see them finally stop.
It really was.
And it's still sad, actually. I mean, coming on this today is just fantastic because it just brings it back even more.
The hovercraft's inventor, Christopher Cockerell, predicted that we would travel across the Atlantic in huge nuclear-powered hovercraft. In the end, it was a dream that stalled in the Channel.
Approaching Portsmouth, looking out over the Solent, a reminder of the start of our journey. Sea forts and hovercraft. The UK's only regular passenger service flies just above the sea out to the Isle of Wight.